In furtherance of efforts at expanding bilateral cooperation with the outside world, President Tinubu is set to attend Arab and Saudi summits. Preparations in top gear for the off-cycle elections coming this Saturday. That's in Imo, Bayelsa and Kogi states. Plus, we have stories on youth empowerment and more. Welcome to Panorama. I'm Ruth, Aguele. We'll begin from the judiciary. The Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja has reserved judgment in the main appeal filed by the governor of Kano State, Abba Yusuf, challenging his removal from office by the Governorship Election Petition Tribunal. This was after counsel to the appellant, Wole Olanipekun, SAN, urged the court to set aside the judgment of the tribunal for erring in law. He alleged that the main issue, which was voiding of ballot papers for not being stamped or signed, cannot be correct, citing provision in Section 71 of the Electoral Act 2022. He also challenged the tribunal's decision to affirm APC governorship candidate Gawuna as the winner of the election, having not been joined in the petition at the tribunal. Counsel to APC, Akin Olujimi, SAN, urged the tribunal to uphold the judgment of the tribunal as non-stamping and signing of ballot papers is against INEC regulations and that INEC did not even challenge that decision. On non-joining of the APC governorship candidate in the petition at the tribunal, Olujimi said votes are cast for political parties and members benefit from the outcome. The court also reserved judgment in the cross-appeal by APC, challenging the eligibility of Governor Abba Yusuf to have stood for the election, having not been a registered member of the NNPP at the time of the election. President Bola Tinubu will embark on another international drive to attract more foreign direct investment into Nigeria, as he is scheduled to depart for Saudi Arabia this week. The president is to attend the Saudi Africa and Arab Africa summits respectively in Riyadh. Presidential advisor on media and publicity, Ajuri Ngelale, who briefed State House correspondents on the forthcoming trip, said President Tinubu will be attending the Saudi Africa summit on the 10th of November, where issues of counter-terrorism, environment, agriculture, and many other areas of mutual concern will be discussed towards accelerating the trade volume between Saudi Arabia and Africa. He will also participate in the Arab Africa summits the following day.
President Bola Tinubu, in his capacity not just as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, but also as the Chairman of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of Government, will be taking part in the summit, ensuring that he is at the forefront of advocating for really a deepening partnership of the two regions, that is the League of Arab Nations as well as the African Union, with respect to how we can integrate in terms of our infrastructure, how we can facilitate the establishment of a new high-speed train network that would tie Arab nations from the Middle East to Northern Africa to the rest of the African continent. Certainly, His Excellency, Mr. President, is passionate about any area in which we can really leverage on the massive population and market that not just Africa presents, but that Nigeria itself presents.
The presidential spokesman also talked on the potential of personal gains for Nigeria.
That the outcomes of this summit will lead to very tangible results with respect to an increase in trade between not just the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, but all Arab nations, and especially the leading economies in Africa, of which Nigeria is now #1. So we believe there's a lot to be gained from these two summits. His Excellency President Bola Tinubu is going to do everything he can to reinvigorate the Nigerian economy through the instrumentation of his participation his leading participation in these two important summits.
Determined to match words with action, the Retreat for Ministers and Presidential Aid has proactively come up with key performance indicators in line with the 8 priority areas of President Bola Tinubu administration, with the theme delivering on the renewed hope agenda. Well, guests on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria believe they're optimistic rather, and is that the translating the campaign promises to reality will be prioritized across the value chains. Let's hear more from Lydia Sampson.
A performance bond was signed at the retreat by the ministers and other key players, in addition to the resolve for intensified strategic planning and citizen engagement. Guests in Good Morning Nigeria are emphatic that visible results impacting the people will begin to unfold. Key takeaways from the retreat, they noted, revolves around fighting poverty and corruption, job creation, security and inclusivity. The guests are, however, unanimous that enshrining the 3 C's, coordination, collaboration and cooperation across various sectors, is critical.
And I will tell you, the president is very determined that this is just not the old times where any minister or a government official can just do what they wanted. You had to work based on the 8 priorities of the government, and you'll be scored.
There was a statement by the president at the opening session where he described where the entire members of the retreat, and by the way, PAMSECs too were there. So he told them to consider themselves in a tunnel, and that the direction that tunnel is leading them to is where they should be headed. Anyone who is thinking otherwise is not part of the team. So he was that clear. That was the kind of energy I saw in the entire 3 days of the process.
What is normally done in every country, if you want to make this transition, is first to have a vision. You know, there's this emphasis of 8-point agenda, but they have to capture it in a vision that can resonate with citizens.
Policy drivers adopted at the retreat, the guest retreat is part of Nigeria's journey to institutionalize performance evaluation as a country in line with the global model of performance delivery management system. They also suggested the adoption of a national development strategy. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
The Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetekun, has ordered the redeployment of Imo Commissioner of Police, Mohammed Birthday, to the force headquarters on special duty. A statement by the force notes that the IGP's decision to redeploy the CP underscores the police force's unwavering dedication to maintaining strict neutrality throughout the electoral proceedings. The force says the redeployment was not an indictment on the affected officer, but rather part of a broader strategy aimed at promoting transparency in the electoral security management. The statement further says the IGP is resolute in ensuring that a secured environment is provided for all stakeholders in the electoral process. In another development, the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetekun, orders the distribution of additional 220 operational vehicles, including water cannons, armored personnel carriers, helmets, bulletproof vests and tear gas canisters to the 3 affected states to intensify security arrangements for the elections. A statement by the force indicates that the IGP had earlier organized trainings for the police officers who are involved in the election security management for the November 11 governorship elections and sought the approval of the federal government for the payment of the allowances and other necessary support to boost the morale of the officers during the operations. The IGP therefore urges all stakeholders in the 3 states to embrace peace, uphold the sanctity of the rule of law, and be law-abiding before, during, and after the elections. All right, let's look at a very salient issue. Since the establishment of the erstwhile prison system, now known as correctional centers for the incarceration of convicts and inmates in Nigeria, the The condition of the inmates and what they're exposed to in custody have always been of concern to stakeholders. Well, in line with the reforms introduced by the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015 and the amended version of 2023, inmates in correctional centers and police custody now have opportunities to actually undergo reformation in a humane environment. But what more remains? All right, that's a big question, right? And we want to expand and discuss. We have joining us via Zoom to discourse further on the reformation of inmates in correctional custody is a clinical psychologist, Mr. Ifunanya Ibukwe. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Ibukwe. Can you hear me?
Thank you. Yes, thank you for having me this morning.
You're welcome. Now, from your profile or based on your background, you have worked on ensuring better conditions for suspects, who have been remanded or inmates who are in prisons. Tell us, from your experience, more about that.
Okay, I think first of all, I'm not a clinical psychologist, but I can be termed a clinical psychologist by association.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So I've been within the criminal justice for the past 10 years, supporting the work that has to do with rehabilitation, reintegration of inmates, and prior to that, reorientation of inmates. All right. So given what we've seen so far with the reform within the criminal justice system, I think is a welcome development. It is something that is long overdue and over anticipated. So the enactment and the passage of the law, the Nigerian Correctional Service Act of 2019, gave a legal framework to a lot of these issues that experts has been for in terms of rehabilitation of inmates. And statistically, we can see there is a lot of improvement in that regard.
Okay, Mr. Ibukwe, when we say it used to be prisons, but now it's correctional centers, but just break it down for us. Prison or correctional reforms, what exactly does that entail? Like, what's the margin between that two?
Okay, from prison perspective, you see that everything we did was the retributive system of justice, a punitive system of justice, as against what you have in correctional service. Correctional, you send this alleged suspect or convicted inmate to go through the correctional system where they are corrected, they are engaged in terms of orientation, rehabilitation, and safe and mechanized reintegration into the society. So there is a clear path between the two. In prison, it's alleged that once anyone is incarcerated, he must be punished for his act, even when there is no court of competent jurisdiction that has passed a judgment in such regard. But in correction, while we're doing that, you are equally declassifying petty offenses, you are providing high-level rehabilitation, and there is a continuous policy reform within the sector. So you see, there's a large difference between the two, and that is why we have adopted the mechanism of correction rather than out of prison.
All right, Mr. Ifunanya Ibukwe, I wish we could go on with this conversation, but your network seems to be freezing. Notwithstanding, keep up with the good work you're doing in terms of reorientation and advocacy to ensure that our correctional centers have a humane face. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
All right, let's take a break. We're back shortly.
The counsel of our fathers.
I will urge and advise our younger generation to use talent and brain to sort out problems, not arms.
Nigerian youths Let's build our nation.
My advice to these young people is please do not take us back to those harrowing days. You probably do not know what it is.
I believe we have fought one civil war too many in this country. So those who experience it will run away from it.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
Welcome back. The Minister of State Youth Development, Ayodele Olawande, and President of the National Youth Council of Nigeria have commended President Bola Tinubu for his laudable empowerment programs. Well, they gave the commendation at the National Africa Youth Day celebration tagged 1 million next level is knocking. Youth-led movement that transcends borders. Represented by an APC chieftain, Darlington Uju, the minister revealed that President Tinubu's administration is resolute in creating meaningful opportunities for Nigerian youths, from job creation, education, skills development to digital innovation, financial technology and youth participation in governance, in demonstrating the thrust of his administration to create an environment where youths can thrive and contribute to the growth of the nation. In addition, Darlington Uju added that Mr. President enacted the Student Loan Act, which has an initial budgetary allocation of 5.5 billion naira to ensure indigent Nigerian students have an opportunity to pursue their academic dreams. President, National Youth Council of Nigeria, Sukubo Sarah Igbe Sukubo, commended President Tinubu for appointing competent youths into leadership positions, urging appointees not to disappoint the expectations of the president.
We use today to celebrate our international African and National Youth Day celebrations, and we also use today to congratulate the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for his overwhelming sounding Supreme Court victory he got. Now he puts on litigation on the issues of presidential election in 2023 to rest. In fact, we are asking the President to give us a platform to nominate the SA Youth to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria from the National Youth Council of Nigeria, being the apex youth body as an umbrella youth body of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
As the world moves fast to embrace ICT, there is need for youths to develop themselves to meet the demands of the movement. Director General of the Nigerian Army Resource Center, Major General Garba Wahab, and the founder of the Gotni Leadership Center, Linus Okorie, gave the advice at the Emerging Leaders Conference in Abuja.
Yeah, so we have what it takes, but the thing is, do we trust ourselves? Do we have confidence in ourselves? Do we believe in ourselves? You are doing your job. Nobody is telling you what to do. Yet, when you tell the director or whoever is responsible to put what you've covered there, and a program comes maybe from US or UK, you prefer to use that one than to use yours. And that's the problem we must guide against. And that's the challenge the young ones have. Don't always look at, oh, the solution to this problem will come from abroad. Nigeria must solve the problem we're facing.
The future of work literally is very important because the dynamics are changing. Technology is rising. Globalization is huge. So what it means is that this changing environment sometimes, will actually get people off work. A lot of people are going to lose their jobs. So because of that, it is important that for our young people to begin now to prepare themselves with the type of leadership skills that they need to function in this new world we're talking about.
The missing link is vision. You have to have vision. Don't be moved by what you see, be moved by what you want. What you want internally. Use your imagination, because what you see inside, you can manifest and make real. Akwa
Ibom have never had it so good. Well, those were the words of stakeholders from Akwa Ibom as they expressed gratitude to President Bola Tinubu and Nigerians for the opportunity of having their own Senator Godswill Akpabio occupying the seat of President of the Senate. At a press briefing, the leader of the Forum of APC candidates in the 2023 elections, who is also the special advisor to the President of the Senate on media and publicity, Eseme Eyibo, extends the gratitude of Akwa Ibom State for all the federal appointments. They include a cabinet minister, a deputy governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, and recently the appointment of Mr. Etekamba Umoren as INEC resident electoral commissioner. Making clarification on the appointment of Mr. Umoren, which has generated reactions from some quarters, Mr. Eyibo dismissed allegations that Umoren is a member of the APC.
He's a bureaucrat. He served in Akwa Ibom State Executive as a permanent secretary, a career civil servant as a permanent secretary. So there's a difference between a political party appointment and government appointment. Position on the law, whoever alleges must prove. So if they are saying that he's a member of a political party, they should go beyond the garment, which is decorative, and bring out either the membership card, membership register, or anything to show that he has been paying his dues, that he's a member of the political party. So the preponderance of proof have now shifted to those who are alleging. They should be able to prove with those facts.
The air and land components of Operation Hadarin Daji in the northwest and Operation Hadinkai in northeast Nigeria, in conjunction with other security agencies, have conducted operations in Kankara local government area of Katsina State, targeting the hideout of notorious terrorist kingpin Babaru, implicated in numerous acts of terrorism and banditry across Kankara and adjacent local government areas in Katsina State. The terrorist was involved in the massacre of more than 100 residents of Gidangari and villages in Bakwori local government area on February 2nd, 2023. The airstrikes destroyed Babaru's hideout and eliminated several terrorists, though there was no confirmation of if Babaru was among those neutralized. Airstrikes were also carried out at the enclave of terrorist kingpin known as Mesola in Maru local government area of Zamfara State, destroying his hideout. There is also no confirmation if Mesola was among the terrorists eliminated. Precision airstrikes by the air component of Operation Hadinkai on November 3rd, 2023, also led to the elimination of several terrorists within the Mandara Mountains and Goza local government area of Borno State. And next, the sports update.
Nigeria's senior women national hockey team failed to qualify for 2024 Paris Olympics after a 9-0 loss to South Africa in the final of the Africa Hockey Road to Paris 2024 Games. Taryn Lambert grabbed a hat-trick and 6 other players scored a goal apiece to ensure South Africa sealed their spot in the Olympic Games Paris 2024. Nigeria will hope to seal an Olympic ticket through playoffs at the FIH Olympic qualifiers scheduled for January 2024 in Valencia, Spain. Meanwhile, it was another weekend of great and interesting football actions in the Nigeria Premier Football League (NPFL) as Doma United and Shooting Stars secure big wins in match day 7 games played on Sunday across 7 match centers in the country. Imba FC, Rangers International and Bendel Insurance all picked maximum point at home, while Rivers United and Aqua United were unable to secure a win at home this weekend. In Gombe, it was a shocking scoreline in the Savannah Derby as Doma United hammered Gombe United 3-0 at the Pantami Stadium. In another development, newly elected chairman of the Nasarawa State Football Association, Usman Salisu Galadima, says it will be a new dawn for football development in Nasarawa State as the board promises to hit the ground running. Usman Galadima stated this after he emerged chairman of the Nasarawa State Football Association, polling 12 votes out of 18 in the Saturday FA election to beat his closet rival Halluru Ibrahim, who scored 4 votes. Others who won include Ibrahim Adamu Shigafarta as vice chairman, while the trio of Noor Abdulhamid, Ismail Aga, and Bashir Ibrahim were elected from the zones. Away from home, Novak Djokovic won a record extending 7th Paris Masters trophy and a 40th Masters title in total. On Sunday, the world number 1 beat unseeded Grigor Dimitrov 6-4, 6-3 in straightforward fashion. It is the 36-year-old 6th title of 2023, which includes 3 Grand Slam crowns and the Masters trophy in Cincinnati. Amazon Go for Sport Update.
All right, we're done with Panorama. Do have a beautiful day ahead. I'm Ruth Aguele.
Social media as a channel of communication is inherently.
You can watch NTA